All right, welcome back. It is the big energy news that is moving both oil and many oil and gas stocks. The U.S. Treasury hitting Moscow with new sanctions. The agency sanctioning oil from Russia's two largest oil exporters, Rosneft and Lukoil. The sanctions designed to try to force Russia to stop selling oil around the world and making billions to help fund its war in Ukraine. China and India, the two biggest buyers right now of Russian oil, so they are in the crosshairs. But another country may also be sort of indirectly involved. Let's talk about it, tie it all together with our friend Helima Croft, Global Head of Commodity Strategy at RBC. Halima, welcome. There were already sanctions on Russian oil. There was a price cap on Russian oil. What does this do that didn't?
I would argue that we never really significantly sanctioned Russian oil. I mean, the price cap, Brian, was designed to ensure that the barrels that were going into Europe could move to Asia. There's a reason why India became such a large importer of Russian oil. It was a price cap. We told India, take the discounted Russian barrels. India backed up the truck. We endeavored at all times since the start of the war to keep Russian barrels on the market. This is the first major move by the White House to basically sanction a major Russian exporter.
Because we wanted at the time, 2022, when oil prices spiked, we didn't want people to be paying $8 a gallon for 100%. Gasoline in America. So you wanted Russia to continue to sell oil, just not make a lot of money at it.
But the real question, Brian, was, though, people would say, if you let Russia retain significant oil revenue and you let Ukraine have weapons, that's not a short war scenario. And we're in a situation now where Russia has been able to build a massive manpower advantage. We've talked about this before. Russia
they
can
pay soldiers
1,000 a day, significant signing bonuses, death bonuses. This is the reason why Russia is not losing this war. When you talk to U.S. military officials, they consistently say you have to break the funding machine for the war. So I think this is the first real attempt by the White House to go after the ATM.
Although I would say if I am Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India, I'm pissed off right now, and I'll tell you why.
100%.
Because in 2022, I didn't buy any Russian oil. Now I was told buy a bunch of Russian oil by the Biden administration because,
100%.
like, keep it flowing, just buy it, whatever. Now we're basically saying to them, don't buy Russian oil or we're going to sanction you
100%.
under the Trump administration. India's got to be really angry.
Well, I think that's why Modi was really angry. He was like, look, I did you a solid, United States. Like, you were too afraid of the price consequences of Russian oil off the market. I backed you up by basically taking the barrels. And now what we've done with this sanction, which I think is kind of ingenious, is we've shifted the decision away from Modi. Modi is not going to make the decision on whether to import or not. It'll be the C-suite of Reliance.
So you're shifting the annoyance, for lack of a better term, to companies, Rosneft, Lukoil, and others, not governments, because the companies, and this is CNBC, the companies are going to affect change because they're going to be like, I can't work like this.
If you are Reliance, you are a major global conglomerate, you have to make the decision. Do you want to risk being sanctioned, losing access to U.S. capital markets? Or do you want to continue to take Rosneft barrels, Lukoil barrels? Reliance is a major importer of Russian oil. That's why we're getting reports out that they're making the decision to potentially walk back from those barrels, find alternative sources of supply.
Okay, we have got a beautiful map here.
Yes.
You've got, OPEC and OPEC plus nations. OPEC plus is in the yellowish orange. OPEC's in white. Focusing there on South America, Venezuela. Reading your note, always a must read, by the way. Your note highlights Venezuela's indirect role in all this. Is there a scenario where we try to replace Russian oil with Venezuelan oil, but to do that, we might have to replace Venezuelan dictators?
Well, it's interesting at the same time that we're sort of dropping the hammer on Russia, and it will come down to sanctions enforcement. I should have said that. But we're also, it looks like, potentially getting ourselves involved in a regime change operation in Venezuela. And so the question is, because we've deployed, significant naval assets down to Venezuela, we've had these ongoing, strikes on these
periodically
ships.
Hitting, drug dealers, blowing them out of the water.
Maduro is on our wanted list. And so the question is, tell me how this ends. Are we going to be, having Machado, the opposition leader who just won the Nobel Peace Prize, is she going to be the future leader of Venezuela? What does that mean in terms of potential revitalization of the Venezuelan oil sector?
reported, I mean, Rosneft, the Russian oil company, is deep into Venezuela.
Oh, two countries are deep into Venezuela, China and Russia. Rosneft has significant, like you go to the PDVSA towers in Caracas, they have floors on the PDVSA tower in Caracas. The question is, if this does end with Maduro out of power, is there a potential foreign policy angle because we have China and Russian interests there?
This is Geopolitics 101. We'll see if this round of sanctions actually works. Oil prices up. Some oil-related stocks are up. Helima, Croft, we're glad that you came into Englewood Cliffs. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.